Today I'm going to be talking about all the books I plan to read in April. First things first, let's talk book club picks. If you do not know, I have my own book club. If you join my channel membership at the highest level, you can be a part of my book club. We vote on what book to read each month. We always have a little bit of a different theme, and this month's theme was young adult horror, and this month's winner was She Is a Haunting, which has an absolutely gorgeous cover. And I'm just now realizing there's like a little tear leaking from the eye that you can only see in certain lighting, which is very interesting. In this story, you are following a girl named Jade who arrives in Vietnam to visit her estranged father. She has one goal: survive 5 weeks pretending to be a happy family in the French colonial house that her father is restoring. She's always lied to fit in, so if she's straight enough, Vietnamese enough, American enough, she can get out with the college money that he promised. But the house has other plans. Night after night, Jade wakes up paralyzed. The walls exude a thrumming sound while bugs leave their legs and feelers in places they don't belong. She finds curious traces of her ancestors in the gardens they once tended, and at night, Jade can't ignore the ghost of the beautiful bride who leaves cryptic warnings, "Don't eat." I feel like it's been a while since I've read a young adult horror book, so I'm really excited to read this one all together. And if you would like to join my membership at any time, you can always click the join button down below, or I have it linked in the description of all of my videos. Also, sort of book club news. It's read-a-thon news. The 24-hour horror-a-thon is returning in April. In case you do not know, this is a bi-monthly read-a-thon that I host, which is a 24-hour read-a-thon dedicated to reading, chatting about, and watching horror together. There is a Discord server where most of the chatting goes on. That is always linked down below in my description. There's also an Instagram page where some announcements come out, but the Discord is the main place to be. This month, the read-a-thon will be going on from April 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern to April 29th, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to be joined by my lovely co-host, Erin from Erin Megan. I will have her channel linked down below. She's also a huge lover of horror, so I definitely recommend checking her channel out. Go watch some of her videos, and you will see her joining me for the read-a-thon. So there will be some reading sprints on Friday night, as there always is. And then on Saturday night, we're going to have a buddy watch where we'll be watching this movie called A Classic Horror Story on Netflix. The movie watch starts at 8 p.m. on Saturday, and we chat about that together in the Discord, so make sure you join there. And our buddy read for this round of the read-a-thon is going to be the book Jawbone, which I am so excited to read. I've heard this one is super weird, and I've wanted to read it for a while, and I think it's gonna be a really fun one to discuss together. The blurb for this one says, "Fernanda and Annalise are so close they are practically sisters. A double image, inseparable. So how does Fernanda end up bound on the floor of a deserted cabin, held hostage by one of her teachers, and estranged from Annalise?" This is also another one that has a really cool cover. I feel like we got some cool covers and some weird spooky books coming up this month. So I'm super excited to read this, and if you want to read this along with us, definitely make sure to check out that Discord down below and mark your calendars for April 28th. Next, I'll talk about some ARCs that I want to get to, which are advanced reader copies that I have through mostly, I think entirely, they're all through NetGalley. A little bit of carryover here. The first one that I want to get to is The Haunting of Alejandra by V. Castro. I was hoping to read this one in March because it comes out April 18th, but it ended up getting pushed to April, so I'm going to try to read this one before the release date. And if you ever want to see my reviews of those, if I don't get around to reading it the month before so I can talk about it in my wrap-up, I do always post my reviews on Goodreads for the ARCs that I finish reading, and my Goodreads is always linked down below in my description as well, so you could go follow me or add me as a friend there and see my reviews on Goodreads if you ever were curious. The Haunting of Alejandra, I've talked about this a lot. It's a story about this woman who is haunted by the ghost of La Llorona, and she's trying to overcome the ghost. Another one with a great cover that is also spooky. I feel like this is my theme for April. Another carryover is going to be In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. I have read 2 books from TJ Klune before, the Cerulean Sea one and the Under the Whispering Door one, and it's a little bit outside of my comfort zone, but it's so heartwarming. I love the whimsical storytelling, and this one looks like it's also going to have all those same feels to them. I think this one has something to do with Pinocchio. It's been a while since I read the synopsis, and to be honest, I'm not the most excited about reading it right now because if you can't tell, I'm in a little bit of a spooky mood at the time, so I'm going to try to get to this one. It comes out on April 25th. I'm going to do my best. Maybe I'll see a good review that encourages me to pick it up. If any of you have already read it and it's really good, let me know. So that maybe it'll encourage me to read it, but we'll see. I'm gonna try to read this one. Then I have 2 arcs for books that are coming out in May, so I'm really trying to read them in April. The first one is The Chateau. This is a story about these women who go to this chateau for this older woman. I think she might be one of their grandmothers. These women used to go stay at her house in college and they're coming back now. They were invited to come back. They don't know why, potentially suspicious circumstances. And then it appears that someone is like watching them, something creepy is going on. It looks like it's just gonna be one of those really fun thrillers where they're in this isolated atmospheric environment. It's been compared to the writing of Lucy Foley and I think maybe Ruth Ware. So I'm not expecting to love it, honestly, but I do think it'll be a fun time and I do want to try to get to this one. And then also a book I've been putting off for way too long just because it says it's a little bit long, but it sounds like something I'm going to love and I really want to give it a chance, is Unnatural Ends by Christopher Huang. This is a story about this guy who gets murdered by a medieval mace and then all his children are coming back together to claim their inheritance. And then they receive this weird message that the one who is able to solve his murder is the one who will be able to get the inheritance. So a little bit like a Knives Out type situation, it sounds like. I think it'll be fun. It just also says it's around 450 pages and I don't know why I always put off longer books, because if it's really good it'll be worth reading. I'm gonna try to sit myself down and force myself to read it. I really think I'm gonna like it. And then if I have time, this book isn't coming out until June 20th, but I just recently reread the synopsis of it and it sounded so freaking good that I'm gonna try to bump it up and read it in April, and that is The Spare Room by Andrea Bartz. I just talked about this one in my latest video I did where I talked about my most anticipated thriller and horror book releases for the spring of 2023. And if you saw my reaction while I was reading the synopsis of that, you will not be surprised that I am bumping this up on my radar because I was just so shocked by it. I totally forgot what it was going to be about. It's essentially about this woman who's going to stay at this couple's house in their spare room, and then they end up like opening their marriage up to her and they're like having threesomes, and then things go wrong when she realizes that they previously had someone who was in a similar situation who has now gone missing. So it's like, is she in danger? I don't know, but it sounds edgy, it sounds dark, it sounds like it's gonna be a fantastic time, and I really would not be surprised if I do end up getting to this one this month. Next up, I have a couple of books that I'm in the middle of that I started in March, and then I just ended up reading other things because I was trying to get through other obligations that I had to read. The first one is Florida Woman by Deb Rogers. This one I'm not super far into. I mean, you can barely even see where my bookmark is in here. I just read the first couple of chapters of this one, but I am very intrigued by the setup of this one, and I think it'll just be a nice palate cleanser. It's a story about this woman who is coming out of jail and she's going to this program where she's going to be working at a like nature preservation, helping take care of monkeys in Florida. But the people that she's working with there are kind of wacky and they're doing these like weird sacrificial things. And I don't really know what genre this is going to fall into, but it just sounds weird. And like I said, I think it'll be a good palate cleanser and all of the darker things that I'm planning on reading this month. And I already started it and I like the writing style and I think it'll be a good time. The next one is Sign Here by Claudia Lux. I started this one, I think even maybe in February, and I started it on audiobook and I just was really liking it. And I knew that if I just listened to it on audiobook, I wasn't going to give it my full attention because I was going to be doing other things. And I don't know, some books are more conducive to me in audiobook form than others, and this was one that I did want to read physically. I'm a little bit farther into this one than I was with Florida Woman, probably like 15-ish% here into this one. It's a story about this guy who is working in hell and he is trying to get this other person to sign their soul over to come to hell so that he can get a promotion. And again, kind of similar to Florida Woman, it's just fun. It was just a good time when I picked it up, and I really feel like I'm gonna fly through it as soon as I pick it back up again. So I really would like to get back to this one this month. Next up is a book that I'm hoping to do a reading blog for this month, and that is this short story anthology, which is called Revelations. And the little subtitle is Horror Writers for Climate Action. So all of these stories have something to do with the environment. It was edited by Sean O'Connor, And some of the authors' names include Gemma Amor, Clive Barker, Tananarive Due, Joe Hill, Stephen King, Gwendolyn Kiss, John Langan, Josh Mallerman, Sarah Pinborough, Priya Sharma, Paul Tremblay. So lots of names that sound familiar. And there's an introduction by Sadie Hartman, which is really cool. I've had this on my shelves for quite a long time. I picked it up when it came out last year and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And with April being the month that Earth Day falls in, I thought it would be a good one to do a reading vlog for. And because it's a short story anthology, I can give a quick rating and review of all the short stories and maybe rank them. And I just thought it would be a fun little different type of video to do since this is all centered around the environment and creating some urgency around climate action, which I think is an important thing to do. So hoping to get to this one this month, and you can expect to see a video out for it. And then lastly, I have a big ambitious hope and dream to do a reading vlog dedicated to one of these big bulky books. I don't know if that's gonna happen this month because I have a lot of other plans, but I would really like to try because I really do wanna get through some of these bigger books that are sitting on my shelves that I think I'm gonna enjoy, but they just intimidate me. And I think if I dedicate doing a dedicated reading vlog to them as well, that will help me make it a little bit more fun and encourage me to actually pick them up. So my options here are Our Share of Night by Mariana Enriquez or Babel by R.F. Kuang. I know this one's more popular, so I imagine that people would be really interested in it, but this one's a little bit more my brand of being horror, and this one is more historical fiction, I believe, but they both sound really interesting to me. So I would be really interested to know from all of you, which one of these books would you be more interested in seeing me personally do a reading vlog around? I know a lot of people have done reading vlogs around Babel, but I don't know if you're gonna be as interested in my opinion, since it's not really the genre that I tend to read as much. And then this one's a little bit more underrated, which could be fun. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. If I can get around to it, I will try to squeeze one of these in this month and do a dedicated vlog to them. And I should probably give you a quick overview of what they're about. Most of you probably know what Babel is about better than I even do, but it is a historical fantasy epic that grapples with student revolutions, colonial resistance, and the use of language and translation as the dominating tool of the British Empire. And then Our Share of Night, the blurb of this one says, a woman's mysterious death puts her husband and son on a collision course with her demonic family. There's something like there's a clan slash cult slash maybe vampires, something spooky going on in this one. Not totally sure. Don't really need to know. I'm willing to go in either way. So yeah, let me know. What do you think I should do? So that is it for all of my reading plans for the month of April. A little bit ambitious, but I think I can really get to most of them at least. Let me know down in the comments which books you're most excited to hear me talk about. Let me know if you're going to be joining the book club read with me or the 24-hour horror-a-thon read-a-thon with me, or just let me know what book you are personally most excited to read this April. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.